Welcome back to the KDPG Sunday edition. This morning we are talking about fighting crime in the city of Pittsburgh. A combination of closer cooperation between citizens and police and improved technology are being credited with success in lowering crime statistics from last year. And here to talk about this are two other guests. Commander Victor Joseph leads the Major Crimes Unit of the City Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, and also the Reverend Cornell Jones is a Group Violence Intervention Coordinator for the City of Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, or the GVI unit. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us on the KDPG Sunday edition. We've already gone over some of the statistics and a dramatic decrease in those, but there was a dramatic increase in the number of homicide cases that were solved. Commander, why?
Well, I think a lot of factors would go into that. It starts with the officers on the street interacting with people on one-on-one basis as human beings, building trust in the community. It goes to proactive police officers who are arresting violent individuals, taking guns from the street. It goes to GVI in our outreach efforts, where we're having custom notifications and interactions with those that are at risk. And when I say at risk, they're at risk of either committing violence or becoming the victim of gun violence. It's a combination of all these factors together that I think have led to our success this year.
All right, so it's a combined effort there, but you just brought up the Group Violence Intervention Unit, or GVI. Reverend, what is this?
Group Violence Intervention is a concept of when you bring together law enforcement, community outreach, social services, and the community at large. Everybody working together on one accord. I like to call it the village. The village concept. Everyone sees that we all have a role in counteracting violence. So, law enforcement does what law enforcement does, outreach does, actually we all do what we do, but we found out, through studies and through history, that when you put them together and pull all these resources together, you're able to counteract violence. And that's what we've learned through, the implementation of group violence intervention. We're bringing resources to people who, really were crying out for help and doing a lot of street violence, but through group violence intervention, we're able to counteract some of the things that they wanted to do, or they are able to see other choices that they can make.
One of the things the Post-Gazette just reported a couple days ago is about these regions of in very high poverty where children don't go out because if they do, they're in danger. Reverend, walk us through a day that you have and what you're dealing with in trying to keep young people safe.
I was just telling Commander Vic that my phone goes off probably at least 30 times a day with dealing with situations where people want to either help out or they have situations where they want help. So I'm getting up, I'm dealing with finding out who might be the next shooter from maybe a homicide or a non-fatal shooting. We get together with the Group Violence Intervention Sergeant and Commander Vic sometime, and we come together, we strategize on whose house we need to go see to be able to stop them from doing something that's going to get them arrested or possibly killed or anyone else killed. From there, we also work with the outreach people who are going to find out who might be other people that they're connected to, so that they could find out how they could stop them so they could stop them from doing some type of violent act. And what we're also doing with those type of situations, we're bringing resources. We're bringing mothers who lost loved ones to the table to be able to talk to them. We're bringing people who used to be in the streets to be able to let them see that there is another way, and just really following up with those people on a regular basis. We're out and about from the schools to the prisons, to detention centers, to wherever we need to go to really deal with the people who I'm blessed to serve. And those are a lot of times the people who just haven't developed their purpose, and we're trying to help them find those purposes.
So when you go in, Commander, it's not a heavy-handed approach.
No, not at all. So we call these custom notifications. We've identified folks that are at risk, like I spoke of before, and we bring a combination of law enforcement, outreach, like Cornell said, mothers who may have lost sons, and we're trying to reach these people on a personal level. Maybe there's an influential person in their life that's going to help us there, maybe a coach or a teacher, something like that. And we give them that message. That message is that this violence is not going to be tolerated, that we're here to help you, that we want you alive, we don't want you in prison, and we're here to help you. We think your life is valuable. We want you to be a productive member of our community. And if they heed those warnings or they take that advice and they want those services, we're here for them. And we're working together as a group. So people sometimes think, well, this is law enforcement's lane and here's outreach lane, social service lane. We're trying to bring that all together. So it's one package coming to that person. And if they don't heed those and they do commit further violence or engage in that type of activity, then we're coming into that neighborhood, and I like to say with the scalpel, you know, and going to surgically remove that person from that neighborhood, you know, because they're committing other crimes. We might not be able to get them on that shooting that they committed because we don't have the evidence for that, but there's maybe other criminal activity that they're engaged in that we can address there.
Is this the reason when I asked Director Hisrich about what seems to be whether gang violence is on the decline or not, and he said you would be able to address this fairly well. Is this the reason if gang violence is declining?
I'd like to believe so. I think that this is a major factor of why, and it's been a collective effort to reduce or eliminate this group-related gun violence. So yes, I think so.
Are you finding that you're welcome everywhere?
Not always. So people are human beings. Everybody's a little bit different. We try to bring that message in a certain way where it's going to be accepted. We try to find an inroad to that individual, whether it's through their mother, grandmother, father, uncle, coach, teacher, somebody that kind of invites us in to give our message.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think what's been amazing is, you know, when we've gone to people's houses, you know, the first thing we say is you're not in trouble. You're not in trouble. We're here to help. We're here to help. We're here to help you to just redirect some of the things that you've been doing. And when we've actually worked with some of those people, we've seen some transformation. And you know, and the other thing that's important is we connect with the community mothers, we connect with the coaches, we connect with the clergy in the community. And a lot of times when we're doing interventions to be able to stop some of the violence that's going on, we bring that village to the table. So when something's we hear something that might be happening, we bring the influentials that are from the community that they already respect and have been loved on for years too. So I've been blessed to work in violence prevention for a long time, and so a lot of times people have wanted to get involved in this. They see this as an opportunity.
What age are we talking about normally here?
You're looking at, you tell me if I'm wrong, but from my experience, about 16 to about 24, 25 years old.
I would agree, even maybe down to 14.
Yeah.
And these custom notifications that I'm talking about, I think in 2018, collectively, we probably did 40s, 44, 45 custom notifications. And of all the people that we contacted, only one individual was arrested subsequent, you know, from another act that he did. The remaining, they were not victims of violent crime, nor did we arrest them from committing any violent crimes.
How much do drugs play in this as far as crime goes right in the city of Pittsburgh right now? Do both of you feel?
It plays a large role.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
an extremely large role.
Right. There's a drug culture that goes with the gang culture, the group culture, and it's and like you talked about, poverty. That's you know, a way to generate income. But unfortunately, what goes with selling drugs and buying drugs or guns and gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of instances recently of people being, I guess there still may be drive-by shootings. I don't know how else to categorize them, where all of a sudden people are found, you know, dead in a car somewhere. Are most of these, you feel, drug-related issues, mostly?
Oftentimes, yes. Oftentimes, yes. It could be drug-related. I would say a large portion of those type of shootings are. Some of it is just simple, and you can chime in here, Cornell, just disrespect. You know, people felt disrespected in, you know, one way or another, whether it was social media drives everything these days, whether somebody's disrespected in social media, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Go ahead.
I totally agree. I mean, social media, as you said, it drives everything. And, you know, I think it's important to know that I really believe that our communities are at a point now where they're tired. They're tired of seeing things that are going on. Excuse me, and through group violence intervention, excuse me, through group violence intervention, people are finding their lane to get involved. You know, just even through the mothers who are involved with us through custom notifications and even dealing with some street interventions, you know, they said, we found our lane. We found our lane. We found what makes us excited to be able to not just, say that, this has to stop, but now we're going to get involved in counteracting some of the violence. So they're bringing in other mothers, and, it's really exciting how the village is saying, instead of just saying that's a shame what happened on TV or on the news, they're saying that, they're calling me and say, how could I get involved? So working together as a village, we're seeing how we could really transform some numbers. And
we only have a couple of
lives.
seconds
Sure.
here, but when you talk to these 14 to 20 some, what have you found to be the biggest impact that makes them open their eyes and realize that something needs to change?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Two things. Sounds, like the cliche, but most of them want to be loved. You know what I mean? Just
Okay.
the basics of love, and they want someone to be consistent that really cares for them.
Right.
And that's where us working together as a village, we're able to walk with them and just being able to call and say, hey, what do you need? How are you doing today? They want to feel accountable to
something
someone.
like-
Basics. Basics, and that's why we're seeing
All
transformation.
right. Gentlemen, we are way over time. Thank you so much for being with us this morning on the KDPG Sunday edition. We'll be back in just a moment.